Well, we're back. Welcome along to the Timeform Sporting Live preview for Epsom Saturday. Well, actually, the Betfred Derby. We've got the Premier Classic. Dave Ord joined by Ben Linfoot and Matt Brocklebank. Chaps, we're going to get the Timeform ratings on the screen for this classic. It tells us two things, Matt. We've got City of Troy top. If he bombs out, as he did at Newmarket, to coin a famous football commentary, well, it's up for grabs.
It's very much up for grabs, Dave, and I don't think you could claim this is going to be an absolutely vintage derby. We'll obviously have to see how this plays out. City of Troy obviously rated on that two-year-old campaign. Fantastic season. Could hardly have done any better. And to be perfectly honest, like, you coming into this season, you think, could he improve again? I think it was a big, tall order, wasn't it, to sort of envisage him stepping forward again. Now, has everything else caught up with him? A fair amount of these have got the Timeform P, signifying the potential for further progress. Obviously, Los Angeles is his stablemate, probably going to go off second favourite. He's a little way down there, but has shown significant potential. But yeah, on Timeform ratings, it's all about one horse.
Ben Linfoot, we're going to talk about that one horse, City of Troy, now. We've got the full race video of his reappearance run in the Kipco 2000 Guineas at Newmarket. Aidan O'Brien thinks it went wrong from this minute the stalls opened. He's there second left.
Yeah, he was last in the stalls and got restless, and apparently his heartbeat went up, and it was all over from then on, really. And you can see from a very early stage that it wasn't going to be City of Troy's day. He just didn't travel with anything like the verve that he showed as a juvenile when he was so good at Newmarket a couple of times in the Superlative Stakes and the Dewhurst, of course, on this Rowley Mile. This 2000 Guineas, the early signs is that it's very good, isn't it? Because you've got Inisher in there in the white cap in the Shaker Bade Silks, who's come out and won the Sandy Lane at Haydock. You've got Rizalian in the Shaker Bade First Silks, and Hartum in the green sleeves, who have come out and finished 1 and 2 in the Tattersalls Irish 2000 Guineas. So immediately it looks really good form, and of course we had an excellent winner in Notable Speech in the Godolphin Blue on the far side, who comes through to win like a really good horse, and we're going to see him in the St James's Palace Stakes, hopefully against Rizalian at Royal Ascot. So it looks a good 2000 Guineas. City of Troy here, you can see it's definitely not going to be his day. He falls out of the picture, really, doesn't he, to finish 9th, and he's got a tall order, hasn't he, to bounce back from this form. Of course, we saw it last year with August Redan, who was even further behind than City of Troy in his 2000 Guineas. He came back to win the Derby. How relevant that is, I'm not sure really, but it does show at least that Aidan O'Brien can recover a Guineas flop to win the Derby. And the Guineas, we've seen it so many times, so many beaten horses in the Guineas come out and win the Derby, not just Auguste Rodin. You've got Massar, you've got Australia as well for Aidan O'Brien. So it can be done. And on his juvenile form, you can absolutely see why he's top of the shop on Timeform ratings and in the betting. I do still think that if there's one horse in this Derby who could blow the race apart, it's City of Troy. If a horse wins by 5 lengths, I think it'll be City of Troy. But at 3-1, even if he's drifted a little bit in the last few days, he's not really a betting proposition.
A lot of people think he might not have trained on. There's one thing, the amount of data they have at Ballydoyle on the work that they're doing, there's no way he's been working like that before Newmarket, and since, because you wouldn't be seeing him. If that colt was showing those signs at home, then we wouldn't be seeing him racing on right now. So that's fascinating to see. Matt, let's look at York now, the horse who could have blown the Derby apart, winning the Dante in Economics. He's not here. We won't be seeing him. He's the white face on the left-hand side. He's been stuck to 10 furlongs. All Blue of Godolphin, Ancient Wisdom. Is he going to come forward enough from this to win a Betfred Derby?
Yeah, I mean, the immediate reaction is he can't really win a Derby on the back of this. But the more I've sort of revisited this race and this horse's profile, I've really sort of begun to fall for him. Many reasons, really. Now, if you focus purely on maybe last year's form as a 2-year-old, his form is absolutely rock solid. He won 4 or 5 last year. When he was beaten, it was Rosalian who beat him over 7 furlongs on decent ground at Ascot. So you could certainly forgive him that. He put in a superb performance. Probably his outstanding effort last year was in that Autumn Stakes. Really did look like a potential Derby horse that day on sort of decent ground at Newmarket. And then it was only 2 weeks later where they took him for the Futurity Trophy, the Group 1 there on bad ground. And if you remember on the day, there was a real long delay, wasn't there? Aidan O'Brien horse Battlecry was withdrawn at the start, and he was a short price favourite there. Ancient Wisdom, but he really did knuckle down and get the job done. So he's won his Group 1 on soft ground, and then you roll on to the springtime where all along Charlie Appleby was obviously winning Derby trials with other horses, but all the time he was kind of holding on to this one. Clearly hadn't fully come in the spring. I know I wasn't there personally on Dante Day Scoop, but there was reports of him sort of looking still a little bit woolly and a little bit in need of the run potentially. And afterwards, he was taking a good blow. William Buick in his interview with Nick Luck this week really, again, sort of filling me with a bit more confidence, saying that this horse did need the run. Now, if you look at that race there, 10 furlongs on good ground at York, and he's come up against an outstanding horse. That horse could go on and win an Eclipse, potentially become a real star 10 furlong horse. So I'm willing to give him a bit of a pass for that. It does require improvement, as you've suggested there in the question. But I think the whole race hinges on the ground for me. I think on soft ground, he's a significant player in this Derby. On good to firm, I don't think he'd even be here.
Ben, let's go to Los Angeles. You fancy a trip over there?
I wouldn't mind, Dave.
This is the Leopardstown trial. The artist formerly known as the Devonstown Stud. It's been a good pointer over the years. This is Aidan O'Brien's second string. There was a point on Tuesday afternoon when it looked like he might become first string. It's workmanlike, Scoop, but I suppose the big thing in his favour, he's strongest at the line this day.
Yeah, absolutely. You do presume this horse is going to be a strong stayer, which is exactly what you need in the Derby. Son of Camelot won a 10 furlong Group 1 in France at 2, and then came out. It was workmanlike this day, but he did give the impression that he'd come on significantly for the run, and if he does, he's absolutely a player. My worry with him is, might he be too slow for a Derby?
They're in a bit of a heap there as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and I just wonder if he might be going up in trip as his career progresses. He's become a bit of a sexy one from Ballydoyle, hasn't he? Because he's got that unbeaten profile. People are looking for alternative to City of Troy. I think now his price has collapsed into around 3 to 172. It's very easy for me to look over.
Matt, let's have a look at the Sandown Classic trial, our final video clue. We haven't got Arabian Crown, sadly, for Godolphin, who wins this. We have got Macduff in the Juddmonte Silks, running here for the Rafe Beckett team, who, at this point in April, weren't firing on any cylinders, let alone all cylinders.
No, I think that's a really good point, a really significant point, in that this horse probably did need his comeback run. He was easy enough to back. He went off 11-2 this day and was put in his place by a really good horse, Arabian Crown. I think we'd probably all agree that he'd be top in the market here for the Derby if he were fit and firing. Now, Macduff has made a perfectly encouraging comeback reappearance run there, take the winner out, and he's won, half a length. He won his maiden last year and then stepped up to kind of listed and Group 2 class and showed that he was of that sort of calibre. I mean, he was well held. He was beaten 2 lengths by Ghostwriter at Newmarket, but the comeback run's something to build on. He's going to have to improve a fair chunk for that, but he's a see the stars. Drying ground, I think, would be significant for him. And now, again, we're not sure on this rain that's arriving on Thursday. They might get some showers, they might not. But either way, it's probably going to be, by sort of Saturday afternoon, it's going to be drying ground. And that should be in his favour. He wouldn't want it soft. For me, he's just got a little bit too much to find with horses like Ancient Wisdom. Now, obviously, he's sort of double the price, but he just doesn't look a potential Derby winner to me.
But Ancient Wisdom does? Is he the selection?
Yeah, Ancient Wisdom, you sort of got the 2 O'Brien horses. I'd be against. I think Ancient Wisdom's form overall is far stronger than Los Angeles. Obviously, City of Troy is the obvious one, but it's interesting with City of Troy, and Scoop has summed it up perfectly, but he was freakishly good at 2, and I don't know about like your sort of memory of like 3-year-olds. If they're freakishly good at 2, they tend not to be freakishly good at 3, do they? You tend to get one or the other, a horse that really does blossom as a 3-year-old. Now, from the evidence we've seen on the racecourse, this horse, City of Troy, has taken a backward step and at least been caught up by a lot of good 3-year-old horses. So, yeah, Ancient Wisdom for me, particularly if there's more rain around. I think soft ground, he's a massive, massive player. He'd still be capable of well being in the mix on good to soft.
I just think it's just too early with City of Troy. It's one lamentable one. It was too bad to be true run. If he finishes third in the Derby, beating 3 lengths at 100%. He's not trained on, he's not improved 2 to 3. But I don't think you can, on that one piece of evidence that we went through in the Guineas, it was too bad to judge him on. The fact that he's turning up, I'm all on board. The numbers at Ballydoyle must still be strong enough to encourage him that the engine's still there. Ben, Derby tip?
Yeah, I mean, it was too bad for me to back him at around 11 to 4, 3 to 1 for the Derby, certainly, and I'd be taking both of O'Brien's on. I think we should mention Ambient Friendly, who was so impressive in the Lingfield Derby Trail. That form was boosted at Goodwood at the weekend, and he did it very easily, and he's done it over pretty much the Derby trip, and on a tricky track as well. And I think the ground is going to be key. If they miss the showers on Thursday and it is drying ground, I think Ambient Friendly's a massive player for James Fanshawe. But I do like Macduff. For Rafe Beckett. I thought his stable was so not underperforming, but he wasn't finding any winners at all when Macduff run at Sandown. And I do think if Arabian Crown was in here, we would be talking about a 6 to 4 shot. And he just shaped like a horse to me that would improve massively for the run. And around 14 to 1, he'd be the one I'd be interested in, Macduff.
There you go. It's not necessarily the star-studded Betfred Derby, 1 or 2 absent friends, but still a classic there to be won. The Premier race, 2 votes for the lads at big prices. I like Los Angeles. I think he'll sit 2nd or 3rd behind the Pacemaker. I think it's going to be one of those derbies where the Ballydoyle second string strikes first down the straight and they don't quite get to him. But can't wait to see it unfold at Epsom on Saturday.